Alright, so you're hearing a lot about electric cars these days. They're in the news, on social media, and even in conversations with friends and family. Everyone from your neighbor to your favorite tech reviewer seems to be talking about them. It's like electric cars have suddenly become the hottest topic around. But are they really the future of transportation? Or are they just a passing fad? Are we looking at a revolution in the way we drive? Or is this just a temporary trend? The truth is, electric vehicles are rapidly changing the automotive landscape. From production lines to showrooms, the shift is happening right before our eyes. We're seeing major advancements in battery technology, charging infrastructure, and even the overall design and performance of these cars. These improvements are making electric cars more viable and attractive to a broader audience. The design and performance of electric cars have come a long way. They're no longer just about being eco-friendly. They're about delivering a superior driving experience. But with all this new tech comes a whole lot of questions. People are curious, and rightfully so. They want to know if these cars are worth the investment. And honestly, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions floating around about EVs. From concerns about range to questions about their environmental impact, there's a lot to unpack. That's why, in this video, we're going to dive deep and separate the facts from fiction. From range anxiety and charging times to their environmental impact and performance, we'll cover it all. We'll break down the most common misconceptions about electric cars and give you the real deal. You'll get a clear picture of what electric cars can and can't do. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a car fanatic, or just curious about the future of driving, this video is for you. Stick around because we're about to explore the electrifying world of electric cars. Let's talk about one of the biggest concerns people have with EVs, range anxiety. It's that nagging feeling you get when you're worried about your EV running out of juice before reaching your destination. I get it. Nobody wants to be stranded on the side of the road with a dead battery. But the reality is, range anxiety is becoming less and less of an issue with modern electric cars. Battery technology has come a long way, and many EVs on the market today can travel well over 200 miles on a single charge. Some even push past 300 or even 400 miles. That's more than enough for most people's daily commutes and even longer road trips. Now you might be thinking, okay, but those are just advertised ranges. What about real-world driving conditions? And that's a fair point. Just like with gas cars, factors like driving style, terrain, and weather can affect an EV's range. But even with those factors considered, the range of modern EVs is more than sufficient for most drivers. Plus, EV manufacturers are constantly working to improve battery technology and increase range. We're seeing advancements in battery chemistry, energy density, and thermal management, all of which contribute to longer ranges. Another factor that's easing range anxiety is the rapidly expanding charging infrastructure. Remember when finding a charging station was like searching for a needle in a haystack? Those days are long gone. We're seeing a significant increase in the number of public charging stations, both level 2 and DC fast chargers. And with apps and navigation systems that can help you locate these chargers, staying juiced up on the go is easier than ever. Plus, many workplaces and apartment complexes are now installing charging stations, making it even more convenient to charge your EV. So while range anxiety might have been a valid concern in the early days of EVs, it's becoming less and less of an issue as technology and infrastructure continue to improve. All right, let's talk about another big one, charging times. One of the most common misconceptions about electric cars is that they take forever to charge. And yeah, if you're relying on a standard wall outlet, it's going to take a while. But the reality is, there are now multiple ways to charge your EV, and some of them are surprisingly fast. We're not talking about hours and hours of waiting around anymore. The charging time for an EV really depends on the type of charger you're using and the capacity of your car's battery. Think of it like filling up a glass of water versus filling up a bathtub. A bigger battery will naturally take longer to charge. For most EV owners, Level 2 charging is going to be your bread and butter. This is the type of charger you typically install at home. It's faster than a standard outlet and can give you a decent amount of range overnight. Level 2 chargers use a 240-volt outlet, similar to what you'd use for a dryer or an oven. These chargers can deliver anywhere from 10 to 80 miles of range per hour of charging, depending on the car and the charger's output. That means you can plug in your EV overnight and wake up with a full battery, ready for your daily commute. And with many workplaces now offering level 2 charging, you can top up your battery during the day if needed. Now, for those times when you need a quick charge on the go, we have DC fast charging. These chargers are the real deal when it comes to speed. We're talking about adding significant range in a matter of minutes, not hours. DC fast chargers use direct current, which bypasses your car's onboard charger and delivers electricity directly to the battery. This allows for much faster charging speeds. With a DC fast charger, you can typically get an 80% charge in around 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the car and the charger's power output. That's enough to get you back on the road quickly and on your way to your destination. All right, let's talk about the environmental impact of our energy choices and how they relate to electric vehicles. One of the biggest criticisms leveled at EVs is that they just shift emissions elsewhere, from the tailpipe to the power plant. Critics argue that if the electricity used to charge EVs comes from fossil fuels, then the environmental benefits are negated. And yeah, that's a fair point, especially if your local grid is heavily reliant on coal. Coal plants are notorious for their high emissions, and if your EV is charged using coal-generated electricity, the net gain for the environment might seem minimal. But here's the thing, the grid is getting cleaner. Across the globe, there's a significant push towards renewable energy sources. Renewable energy sources like solar and wind are growing rapidly, and their share in the energy mix is increasing every year. This means that the electricity used to charge EVs is becoming greener over time. And even if your electricity isn't 100% green yet, it's likely getting there. Many regions are investing heavily in renewable infrastructure, aiming for a future where clean energy is the norm. Plus, EVs can actually help accelerate the transition to renewable energy. By increasing the demand for electricity, they can drive investments in renewable energy projects. Think about it. Electric cars act as giant mobile batteries. They can store energy and provide it back to the grid when needed. With smart charging infrastructure, they can draw power from the grid when renewable energy production is high, such as during sunny or windy days, and even feed it back during peak demand, effectively stabilizing the grid and making better use of clean energy. This bidirectional flow of energy can be a game changer for grid management. So, while the source of your electricity does matter, it's important to consider the bigger picture. The transition to a greener grid is well underway, and every step counts. The grid is evolving, and EVs are going to be a big part of that evolution towards a more sustainable future. Together, we can drive the change towards a cleaner, greener world. Now let's address the elephant in the room: battery production. This is a topic that often sparks heated debates and raises many questions. There's no denying that manufacturing EV batteries requires a lot of energy and resources, and that process does have an environmental footprint. The extraction of raw materials like lithium, cobalt, and nickel is energy intensive and can have significant ecological impacts. However, it's crucial to look at the entire life cycle of a vehicle, not just the manufacturing phase. From the moment a car is produced to the end of its life, the overall environmental impact must be considered. Studies have consistently shown that even when you factor in battery production, EVs still have significantly lower emissions over their lifespan compared to gasoline-powered cars. This includes emissions from driving, maintenance, and even disposal. This is because electric cars are incredibly efficient at converting energy into motion. Unlike internal combustion engines, which lose a lot of energy as heat, electric motors are much more efficient. They don't have all the energy losses associated with internal combustion engines, like heat dissipation and exhaust. This means more of the energy from the battery is used to actually move the car. Plus, as battery technology continues to improve, the environmental impact of production is only going to decrease. Advances in recycling and the use of more sustainable materials are already making a difference. So, while the upfront emissions from battery production are a valid concern, they are outweighed by the long-term emission savings of driving electric. Over time, the benefits of lower emissions and higher efficiency become more apparent. And as technology advances and renewable energy sources become more prevalent, the overall environmental impact of EVs will only become more favorable. The future of transportation is not just electric, but also sustainable and eco-friendly. But the environmental benefits of EVs go beyond just emissions. Electric cars don't produce any tailpipe pollutants, which is a huge win for air quality, especially in urban areas. We're talking about reducing harmful pollutants like nitrogen oxides, particulate matter, and carbon monoxide, all of which contribute to respiratory problems, smog, and other health issues. And let's not forget about noise pollution. EVs are incredibly quiet, which not only makes for a more pleasant driving experience, but also reduces noise pollution in our cities and neighborhoods. This is a big deal, as noise pollution has been linked to stress, sleep disturbances, and even cardiovascular problems. So when we talk about the environmental impact of electric cars, it's not just about greenhouse gas emissions. It's about cleaner air, quieter streets, and a healthier environment for everyone. And that's something worth getting charged up about. All right, let's talk performance. One of the coolest things about electric cars is their instant torque. In a gas car, you've got an engine that needs to rev up to deliver power. But with electric motors, it's all there, right from the start. This means when you hit the accelerator in an electric car, you get that immediate, neck-snapping acceleration. It's like launching yourself from a standstill. You don't have to wait for the engine to catch up. It's just instant power. Whether you're driving a high-performance EV or a more affordable model, this instant torque makes for a really fun and responsive driving experience. Another performance advantage of electric cars is their smooth and silent operation. Electric motors are inherently quieter than combustion engines. You don't have all those explosions happening under the hood, so there's less noise and vibration. This makes for a more refined and luxurious driving experience. You can actually hear your passengers and enjoy the sounds of your surroundings without all that engine noise. Plus, it's just a more peaceful way to travel. And because electric motors don't have as many moving parts as gas engines, they require less maintenance. You won't be spending as much time or money on oil changes, spark plugs, or transmission flushes. Here's a cool feature that not only boosts performance, but also efficiency: regenerative braking. In a gas car, when you hit the brakes, all that kinetic energy is lost as heat. But in an electric car, the electric motor actually reverses, acting as a generator to capture that energy. This captured energy is then used to recharge the battery, extending your range. It's like getting a little boost every time you brake. It takes some getting used to, but once you master regenerative braking, you can maximize your efficiency and even drive with one pedal in some EVs. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. The upfront cost of electric cars. Yes, they tend to have a higher sticker price compared to their gas-powered counterparts. But here's the thing. You have to look at the total cost of ownership. Electric cars have significantly lower running costs. You're not filling up with gas, which we all know can get crazy expensive. Plus, as we talked about earlier, maintenance is minimal. When you factor in those savings over the lifespan of the vehicle, the total cost of ownership can actually be lower for an EV, especially with government incentives. Speaking of incentives, governments around the world are offering some pretty sweet deals to encourage people to go electric. These incentives can include tax credits, rebates, and even access to carpool lanes. These incentives can significantly reduce the upfront cost of an electric car, making them more accessible to a wider range of buyers. And it's not just about saving money, it's about governments investing in a cleaner future. They recognize the environmental benefits of electric vehicles and are putting their money where their mouth is. One of the main cost drivers of electric cars is the battery. But the good news is that battery technology is constantly improving, and costs are coming down rapidly. In fact, Battery prices have dropped by almost 90% over the last decade. As battery technology continues to advance, we can expect to see even more affordable electric cars in the future. And with the increasing range and performance of these batteries, the value proposition of electric cars is only going to get stronger. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully, we've debunked some of the common myths surrounding electric cars. From range anxiety and charging times to performance and cost, these vehicles are becoming more and more compelling. The future of mobility is electric, and it's exciting to see this technology evolving at such a rapid pace. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content on electric vehicles and other tech topics. Leave a comment below with any other myths you'd like us to debunk or any questions you have about electric cars. See you in the next video.